I just had to play that. I love that song. Glenn Campbell, Wichita Lineman. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing tonight? I'm going to go through what I consider to be the greatest comic book story, superhero story. It's hands down, I think, Miller's best writing, his best work in terms of what he was able to do with the impact and to change the status quo of the character of the mythos. Really, I mean, he came back with a vengeance. He left Daredevil a few years before this, and then went to DC. I think did Ronin, and then I believe came back here. This is 1985, and then from here, the Dark Knight. I think concurrently, I think he did a Dark Knight. He did Elektra Lives Again. He did Batman Year One. You know, within a 2-year period, I believe. Hope you guys can hear me. And I'm just going to start. If you haven't read this, I would recommend leaving, not being here. You shouldn't experience this story this way. You should experience it in your own hands, either in print or the digital, or the arts edition, which is the huge one that I have, or they have a smaller version as well. So, you guys, if you haven't read this, I recommend you checking out. You shouldn't be here. You should not be here. So I'm going to just go through this, and then I guess I get some commentary after the fact. So this is Daredevil, what ended up being called Daredevil Born Again. The great story by Frank Miller, written by Frank Miller, penciled and inked by Dave Mazzucchelli. And then I think there's one issue where they credit Dave Mazzucchelli as the colorist, but he's not. It's his wife. I guess he didn't want to go through the whole process of, trying to get her hired, this and that, but he figured that she might be doing a better job than the regular artist that was doing it. I think it was Chris Shield. Hey, Sean Allen. How's it going? If you haven't read this, Sean, I would recommend checking out until you do. You shouldn't experience it this way. You really shouldn't. So here we go. Here's the cover. Daredevil Apocalypse. Beautiful cover, impactful, great Daredevil. Mazzucchelli always drew a great Daredevil. And he had begun inking his pencils issue 214. And by this time, he became a real master at it, as you can tell here. And in this series, he goes from brushwork, his usual brushwork that he was earning, getting up to the point. Hey, SXS. What's up, Bosch? Great pick for tonight. Just bought all 3 volumes of Daredevil Visionaries. Wow, that's great. The hardcovers, very, very cool. Those were all-time classics. I got the hardcovers. I think they're called that as well. Let me see. 1 second. I think they're called. I guess I got the omnibuses. I got the 2 hardcover omnibuses, and then I have, which has everything. It has his entire Daredevil run, his original one. It has Daredevil Born Again, and as well, there are 2 volumes as Daredevil Man Without Fear with Jeremy Jr. Hello out there. How are you? So yeah, guys, this is it. This is the one that I've been talking up, and there's a good reason why. And I don't know, guys. I don't know if I'm going to read the entire thing. I don't think I should be doing that. I will give you the idea of what's happening, read some dialogue clearly, and talk about the art. And here are the Twin Towers, Within 16 years, they would be obliterated by savages. It was always omnipresent in the Marvel Comics, always in the background. Okay, yeah. Okay. SXS says he thinks his are soft covers Born Again, Man Without Fear not included. Okay. I got 2 of the hardcover omnibus volumes, they call it. And it has everything in there. It has his original run, hundreds and hundreds of pages. His original run that he wrote and penciled, and then he laid out the last 10 issues, I believe, or 8 issues that Klaus Janson penciled, inked, lettered. No, sorry, penciled, inked, and colored. And then also the Daredevil Man Without Fear, which is, Romita Jr. is interesting. He always goes back to that. And while that's fine, that's 30 years ago now. It's like, you would imagine that try to do great stuff always, don't go back 30 years. Okay. Yeah. It's so interesting with Miller, because he had gone from the Daredevil series, introduced Elektra, and then also introduced what do you call it, ninjas, and then brought the Kingpin into the Daredevil world, which he had never been before, which is almost shocking now when you think about it, because he's a fitting character, a villain for Daredevil. He's just human. He's a big guy, but he's human. To me, it never made sense that he fights Spider-Man to a standstill and sometimes beats him. It's like, are you kidding me? It might not all be fat. There is muscle there, and he knows how to fight, but he's a man. Spider-Man is superpowered. It never made sense. It just doesn't make sense. Unless he's superpowered, because Spider-Man can knock your head off with one punch if he wants to. He can't always be holding back, especially when a guy is trying to kill him. Sean says, damn, Bosch, that means you really care about the book, the story. That's rare these days. I will take your advice and yes, absolutely. You want to experience it on your own, Sean. You really should. I know I wouldn't want it to experience it in a live stream where someone read it and reread it and gonna dissect it. And I'm only doing one issue at a time. This is part 1. It'll be, I think, 7 issues. 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. 7 issues. So it'll be 7 different parts. And you guys can come evening, Mike TV Dub. Yeah, so this is it, guys. This is the big one. This is the story that made, I think, more than anything else, it made Dave Mazzucchelli one of the all-time greats. This alone, and then of course he went to Batman Year One and even took it further with a consistent style. This one, he was experimenting a lot, and I love it all, but it goes from brushwork to abstract line work, pens, markers, maybe. It's really interesting. So let me read a little bit. I'll read a little bit, guys. I'm not going to read it all. Some choice parts, because I don't think I should do that. Just it's I'm looking at it. That's all. So let's see. This is the narration. I guess this is Miller's voice. It's a hot day, like all the rest. All 2 years of them. 2 years. And the motion picture epic that turned into just another come on isn't even a memory. Like all the rest. Except this one has a special glow to it. It's not every day you sell your soul. That's no way to think. Grow up. It's the 80s. You do what you have to. And you have to do it. This is Karen Page, who had been the secretary of Nelson and Murdoch, Foggy Nelson and Matt Murdock, Daredevil, for a number of years. And if I remember correctly, I read those early comics, Wally Wood and Romita run. I never got into, what's his name? Gene Colan. I just couldn't do it. I know, suppose he's all-time great. Something very off about him. His anatomy, the strangeness of his worm eye view, walking like people were dragging themselves across the sidewalk. I don't know. It never appealed to me. And then he looked slick one moment and then really shadowy in a strange way next moment. It was like he was mercurial. He was like a blob. I don't know, his art. But anyway, maybe it was during his run that Karen Page discovers somehow. I remember reading it. I remember she figured it out, but I just don't remember exactly, that she discovered that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. And I don't know how long it took her, but she left. She couldn't handle it. She couldn't handle that the man she loves is endangering himself every day. And I think she had ambitions maybe to be an actress, to be a Hollywood actress, and ends up in, you know, I guess pornos and a junkie. So talk about, 20 years later after that wholesome thing, Miller comes in with this. Maybe the older guys resented it. I don't know. All I know is that this is when I really, discovered Karen Page, and I hated her. I know that. I was like, what did she do? And for what? To get a hit? So the guy she's with in this dirty room, in this hot room with no air conditioner, goes, yeah, I'm sure I've seen one of your flicks. You're big at the stag parties. What's your name again? She goes, Page. Karen Page. She's down and out. She goes, look, this is worth something. She has a little envelope. This is worth something. Take it to the States and you'll get $1 million for it. The guy says, girl will say lots when she's hungry. Things I hear. Want a shot? No, didn't think so. Not a shot of booze anyway. She said, Daredevil. Okay, I said it. I said the name, and he's got another name, and it's written right down here. You want it or not? She's selling out Matt's secret identity for a fix. Horrific. And then basically the news gets out. This guy gives it to another guy. And then the word gets to the Kingpin, who Daredevil put a dent into his operation. He really did over the years. And Kingpin, when he hears about this, because I think he says, when someone ever finds that out, let me know, first thing. So basically, these guys are talking. He's on a yacht with his crew, with his gangsters in suits. There isn't a man on deck who doesn't jump when Stilson speaks up. Well, there's one, but nobody's sure if the word man quite covers him. So then he gets up here, calling him the Kingpin. That covers him well as any word can. Saying he's the boss of everything bad that makes money in what must be most of the free world. ... And then one guy says, my cousin down there, Tonio, I wouldn't bring it up, but you said to keep the lines out for this. Local pusher down there says he met Daredevil's old lady. His old lady, I mean. Says her for an armful, she sold his name. His real name, I mean. And he's like, I know what you mean. Give it to me. Nobody needs to be told. They all leave fast as they can without looking like wimps. That's great writing, guys. Fast as they can without looking like wimps. Brilliant. Miller really put in the work, man. He put in the work. He was such a great writer. He distanced himself from every one of his peers. I mean, people can argue, and they do. Oh, he sucks. Doesn't. No, he was great. He was great. Except for Wesley, of course. Wesley, he always sticks around for any last-minute orders, which is why everybody is so nice to Wesley. Kingpin says, turn the yacht back to New York. And as far as I know, I don't remember Kingpin ever having a yacht or anything like that, or traveling. I think Miller was using Gil Wynand, the tragic hero. I would call him that. Seen as a villain, but I think he's a tragic hero, one of the greatest tragic heroes of all time in literature, from the Fountainhead. He had a yacht that he took every so often, and he went for months. So as far as I know, I don't think we've ever seen a Kingpin like this. It's a different look, a different feel, but it works. It really works. So he tells Wesley, he goes, turn the yacht back to New York, locate everyone who has touched this envelope or spoken to anyone who has, and await the kill order. Everyone who touched it is dead. He can't have that kind of information, that kind of gold out there. Because in the meantime, I shall test the information. 6 months pass. I said I wouldn't read it all, and here I am reading most of it. I'm not going to read it all, but I am going to point out some stuff here, guys. Daredevil wakes up. He's annoyed by everything. There's something off about him. He doesn't have a job anymore right now because the The business that he had with his best friend is gone. They broke up as partners, and he checks the mail. He feels the air coming through the mail chute. Let me read a few comments here, guys, while I have you guys here. I don't want to ignore you. And this is an organic thing, so I hope you guys don't mind. And, SXS says, I was never familiar with Karen or Daredevil outside of Miller. Was she from an earlier run? Yes, she was. SXS, she was early, I think from day one, if I remember correctly. She was their secretary. Good character, wholesome character that, again, loved Matt. I think Foggy was trying to hook up with her, and, it didn't work. She loved Matt, and when she found out he was Daredevil, she ran. She couldn't deal with it. I don't know how long it took her to run, but she eventually did. She couldn't deal with the fact that the man she loves, as I said before, is endangering himself every night in the city as a vigilante. She just couldn't deal with it. SXS, one page to set up everything. Miller's a master. Isn't that the truth, guys? Because this issue alone puts in more work than complete runs of certain writers. And I mean that. So, such impact. This issue alone puts in the work like you can't believe what happens. It's incredible. The setup is brilliant. Well told, beautifully drawn by Mazzucchelli, beautifully drawn. I mean, look at this. It's fantastic. Everything is right. The storytelling, the draftsmanship is fantastic. Everything looks legit, authentic, authenticated. Look at it. The buildings, the furniture, everything about it. The wrinkles on the bed sheet, the musculature on Matt. It's fantastic. Comic Books in Cahoots says Daredevil's alter ego being sold out for a fix is extremely realistic. Yeah, and sickening, isn't it? It's true and sick. They're not in their right minds, junkies. They're just not. They've already sold out. They've already sold their soul in a lot of ways. So what more? You have to give. Even though here it says it's not every day you sell your soul. Well, I guess in one way she was destroying herself, right? And then she was willing to destroy someone else just for a goddamn fix. So I guess, technically speaking, you could say, okay, that's when she sold her soul. Even though I think if you damage yourself to the extent that she has, even to come to that, place that she would do this to the only good man she knows. Terrible. Hey, John. John Wood says, great connection. Not sure what you mean there, but Hermosa Faye says, Karen is from 1963 when Daredevil was introduced. Yeah, she was from, I believe, day one. I think so. I think it was already established, Nelson and Murdoch. I believe so, because they didn't have like an origin. You find out after the fact that they were college friends, Foggy and Matt, and then they opened up their firm, their law firm. SXS says the line on this page about snow dropping in like an unwanted relative is brilliant. Yep, love the writing on this page in particular. John, hello, John. How's it going, man? Yeah, you know what? God damn it. A part of me wants to read it all, and I don't know if I should. Legally, and again, guys, I will repeat it. If you haven't read this, leave, read it, come back at a later point and watch it, because it's to be experienced with you in your mind directly, and I want you to feel it all. I want you to experience it all directly from the page, from the actual work, not from me talking about it. I won't do it justice. I won't. Yeah, that line here, winter hits Manhattan like an unwanted relative, drops in with no warning and seems to stay forever. Beautiful. It spreads a thick white blanket that makes the city look clean for a few hours until the snow gets stepped on and driven over and made gritty and dirty gray. Matt Murdock is blind, so he misses the prettiest morning of the year. All he gets is hissing pipes and an East Coast chill that goes straight for the bones. Matt Murdock is also Daredevil. That's why his life is about to fall apart. Miller just came back with a vengeance, because again, everyone was waiting, maybe he might come back to Daredevil, right? Because he made Daredevil relevant. Daredevil was always hanging around, always in Marvel, decent runs here and there, decent stories, individual stories, an interesting character overall. But when Frank Miller got his hands on him, especially issue 168, that's when he introduces Elektra, and that's when he takes off. That's when he takes off. I think for 23 issues, because he was drawing it for 10 issues prior to that, and they were fine. Roger McKenzie was writing it, and but when he did that, and he was ready to tell stories, because I think Shooter was working with him, and he got to understand story, and he was really getting a hankering for it, and wanted to understand, because he was an artist for a few years, and then finally, I think he went to Shooter one time and goes, I get it. Because Shooter was always, kicking it to the workers, or story, whatever else, story. That's it. And look at what was being published under him at that time, Jim Shooter. Come on. Marvel's best period, best years. Truly. The highest quality stories, highest quality art, the most successful runs ever. Secret Wars came in, You got the X-Men from John Byrne, the Fantastic Four, Walt Simonson Thor, Frank Miller's Daredevil. Just great stuff. And then all the other stuff, Roger Stern, John Romita Jr.'s Spider-Man, Chris Claremont's X-Men, for, artist. I can go on tangents, guys, but anyway, so I will skip some here and there, but let's see. So he gets the mail, and he finds out that he hasn't paid bills, mortgage. He's like, what the hell? He's being audited. He's like, what's going on here? The IRS is auditing him. He's like, and every penny he has is frozen until the audit is complete. He's like, what the hell? Skull, Trevor. My man. Comic Books in Cahoots says, I remember reading this in elementary school. The 80s was truly a fantastic time for comics. It was. SXS says, it's so good. I'm glad I went into this book blind. No pun intended. Hilarious. JEC says, William S. Burroughs' book Junkie is a good book to read to understand heroin addiction. Burroughs was a junkie and studied medicine at Yale. Explains on a chemical level how heroin grips the addict. Yeah, it destroys them. I mean, Karen is a destroyed person. And, Matt being a Catholic, and I didn't quite understand his reaction to certain things in here, but, anyway, we'll get there. Issue 5 of this, I believe. SXS says, easily the best years. Yeah, Shooter was a genius. He was. I'm in the process of reading a lot of it for the first time. I mean, he was just, again, he loves comics. He started writing comics when he was 13 years old. They didn't know he was 13, DC. When they found out, they were like, shit. So they brought him and his mother. They paid for a trip from, I think, Pennsylvania to New York to make sure that his mother was fine with it, and so on. And he was treated like shit by the editors there. That's the word. And you could tell he still slightly resents it. I don't think he's a butthurt guy. I think he understood it to some level. That's just too mean. Just too mean for 13-year-olds. But he learned a lot. And then he ends up at Marvel. And just forget about it. The comics were good. They were on time. They were experimenting with Epic Illustrated, with even a Marvel Age, their promotional thing. I loved it. I love seeing that. I love seeing Frank Miller's early versions of Elektra, Lives Again. I love seeing early versions of this from Marvel Age. JEC says, yeah, rest of his stuff is mostly weird experimental poetry or whatever. Junkie is a proper book. SXS says the other half of his work is very LGBT. Yeah. So anyway, so he is just finding out that he's in serious trouble, legal trouble. He hasn't paid his bill. And he knows he has. He has the records for it, but he just. And then while he's dealing with this, he gets a voice message from his girlfriend, Gloriana. She goes, Matt, this is Glory. I've been trying to call ye for days now. She's Irish, from Ireland. You don't seem to be home much. You're never home for me anyway. So he says, so Sid, this is Matt. Just got something from the IRS. What do you mean, Sid? You've been my accountant for, you can't. You can't mean this, Sid. Lying to you? Sid, my records are spotless. Basically, it took the kingpin 6 months to sit back and say, okay, how am I going to destroy this guy? I own this guy, I own that judge, this. I got people all over in the government and so on. I'm going to needle him. I'm going to pull his wings bit by bit by bit. And Gloria says, this may not be the best way to say this to you, Matt. And I know this is already a bad time for you. And Sid hangs up on him. He's like, hello? But I'm out of patience, Matt. The way you treat me, I'm through with you. Maybe if you let me in on what's plaguing you, but I'd appreciate you not making this all any more difficult. What I'm saying is that I'd rather you didn't call me. And then he gets a knock here. He gets a knock. And he goes, it's a subpoena demanding my presence at a grand jury hearing, not as a witness. So he goes to one of his, he goes, you're a disease, moth you. He calls him moth you. I'm risking my standing just by talking with you. If the charge had been made by any other cop, any other moth you, but Nicholas Manalis, I believe it's Manalis, of 20 years of impeccable performance. He goes, I know his record. Check this out also, guys. You see the coloring on the wall? That wasn't being done back then, that kind of fine detail. And also this, I like that. That wasn't being done either. I don't remember it being done in most comics, even this. But look at that, the texture on the walls. It wasn't digital at that point. I mean, the skin color was just skin color. You know, Daredevil's costume was just red, no hues, no nothing. So look at this, guys, the authenticity of this to show how high skill it is, how wealthy that guy is. And Matt Murdock says, I know his record about the cop who was basically saying that he's on the take. And this guy says, far be it from me to judge you, but this is a sworn statement from Lieutenant Manalis. He goes, Manalis? He goes, he says he saw you pay a witness to perjure himself in that Hendricks case. He goes, I can't believe Nick Manalis would do this, not for anything. He goes, we never had this conversation, moth you. And whatever you do, don't harass Manalis, wouldn't be good form. And the secretary says, have a nice day. He goes, don't push it. And he's losing his patience. He's losing his patience. Excuse me, guys. So Foggy is going to visit Glory, and he sees that she's been robbed. And she says, I can't stay here tonight. And then you got Ben Urich with Robbie Robertson at the Daily Bugle. It's interesting to see Ben Urich and Robbie Robertson drawn by by Dave Mazzucchelli, excuse me, in this more realistic way than we normally saw them. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Everything looks legit, beautifully drawn. I mean, look at this, guys. And again, guys, this is the kind of stuff that I don't remember happening. Do you guys remember things like this happening in comics where the colorist really went off here? And he made it. He was part of the art here. Maybe Mazzucchelli laid it out there and said, hey, can you fill in the outlines of pencil that I had put? I don't know. I know it looks great. Oops. JEC says, Shooter's Legion of Superhero Stories he wrote when he was 13 are actually a lot of fun. I got my hands on it when I was a kid. I remember reading The Parasite. He created The Parasite. The Parasite was, to me, always a great, great villain for Superman. Always great. Scary, creepy, dangerous. and like a parasite, like a vulture, like an evil guy who wants to suck the life out of you for his own needs. I mean, it's just great, great, great stuff. Um, so let me just get a few more here. Comic Books in Cahoots says Shooter's enemies buried him with the failure of the new universe line. Yeah, they couldn't wait to see him drop. He was he made sure that the books were good and on time, and he got a lot of pushback. John Byrne talked a lot of shit about him. Miller for a time did, but it looks like Miller has since come around and spoke well of Shooter, which is good. I like that. Shooter is great. I'll take him any day over some of those schmucks who are trashing him. He, is better than a lot of them. I suppose, Stan Lee told Shooter as well, like, you're the best editor we've ever had. I think, he probably owed him that because it's true. I think, with Stan Lee was going back and forth with creating and being this and that, but I don't think, and then he ended up being I guess, what was he? Not a glorified thing, but he was trying to get Hollywood interested. He spent a lot of time in LA, and then he wrote the Spider-Man script. Sorry, he wrote the Spider-Man comic strip, and it was Shooter, I believe, who wrote the plots, the stories, and then Stan Lee dialogued it after John Romita Sr. drew it. I believe that's what happened. SXS says one failure and they bury him. Try explaining that to modern Marvel. Yep, exactly right. Which is all failure. And it was an ambitious as hell what he was doing. And if you guys don't know, the story is that they wanted to have a new universe, right? But the plan was to wipe out the old universe, Marvel Universe, and restart it for a modern audience in the 80s. But with the talent that they had, I think it would have been great. And then they cut the funding. They cut the funding big time. And he was stuck there. And he had to fight, they were trying to sell it. I think he got so successful, Marvel, because of Shooter and the crew that he brought in and busted their ass, that they were itching to sell it. That's what always happens. That's what happened with Valiant. That's what happened, I think, with Defiant. It's just terrible. And he's one of those, Boy Scouts. I don't think he saw it coming, unfortunately. JEC says Marvel was overrun by hippie fanboys who couldn't meet a deadline to save their lives before Shooter. Yep, he whipped that place into shape, 100%. Writers were their own editors, guys. I mean, in Comicsgate, we are our own editors mostly. We might want to get out there some eyes that we trust, but take a look at it. But we are our. But for a major company like that to be your own editor, no, absolutely not. You need an objective voice. You need an objective person there. You can't rely on some of these guys. And again, guys who are coming in very, very, very late. And the work in the 70s, some of it's good, some of it's bad. A lot of it's bad. Pretty forgettable. Okay. So here he is, Ben Urich. Great character, man. They did him justice, by the way, in the Netflix series. I know it was a race swap, but the actor was good. And there was nothing in there about race, zero. He had a beautiful relationship with his wife. He was a good character, a good guy, a noble journalist, and he wanted redemption for, I guess, letting himself down to some extent. We're becoming some kind of a corporate guy, and he wanted to get back in the hunt and tell the truth. And if you saw it, you know where that led him. SXS says they've been talking about rebooting Marvel recently too. The current writers would somehow make things worse. They would. SXS, 100%. You got to get new blood, or great guys, or bring back some old guys. You have to. It's either or. You can't keep it's like Marvel, right? The MCU being rebuilt from the same people who destroyed it. The hell out of here. Get Kevin Feige, whatever, out. Get him out. That's it. Bring in some fresh blood. It's like Star Wars. We're going to reboot Star Wars and have everyone there who destroyed it. Impossible. So here is Ben Urich. My name is Ben Urich. I'm a reporter. I'm working the night shift at a great metropolitan newspaper when a piece of dynamite is dropped on my desk. That's Miller at his best. Love it. He goes, it's not the kind that hisses. It just rustles in Robertson's hand. And Robbie Robertson tells him, check this one out for me, Ben. He goes, sure, I've got nothing but time. And he goes, this is Ben Benioff's narration. It's disguised as an Associated Press wire, the stick of dynamite, that says Matt Murdock faces a host of criminal charges, including bribery, perjury, and misconduct. And he's in shock because he goes, Matt Murdock is the most honest man I know. And then he calls him. He goes, Matt, Ben, I just heard. And he goes, I have no statement for the press, a stranger tells me. He's friends with him, and he knows that he's Daredevil. He goes, Matt, if it's off the record, you know you can trust me. A chuckle like dry ice cracking. Matt, I'm your friend, remember? Because he laughs. The line goes dead. The laugh seems to echo through the office. I try to match it with the man who saved my life. I worry, not about his honesty. And then here's Matt. You know, we see the DC making some of these classic stories in movies, like animated movies. I want to see this animated. Make it look like Matt Kelly. Bring it to life, visual life, moving. I want to see this. There was elements of this also in the last season of Daredevil, season 3, Netflix, and now the new 7 years later, Wild. It's called Daredevil Born Again, but I don't think it's anything here, because there are moments in that one that are 100% taken from this, 100%. Okay, so Matt says the bank insists I haven't paid them. They threaten to foreclose. I lose my temper and yell at them, and they hang up on me. I guess I'm going to read it, guys, if you don't mind. I pull out my checkbook and run my fingers across the stubs. They're written with a ballpoint pen, leaves deep grooves, deep, easy-to-read grooves in a paper. He could read Braille, or any kind of... He could read basically newspaper because of the ink. That's how sensitive he is with his powers. Again, guys, if you don't know, he's blind, but he has a radar that he can see more or less all around him at once. But he can only see forms and objects. He can hear heartbeats. He can sense things, smell things, hear things better than anyone. That's his powers. He goes, I wrote the checks all right, on time, like all my bills. But there's no sign of them in my monthly statements. The bank never cashed them. So he's like, maybe they were lost in the mail. With my money frozen by the IRS, how can I hate money. He goes, outside, the snow has turned to sleet, trying to chip away the walls around me. Something loose and wild flows through the city. I feel my pulse quicken like a jungle drum. It's the night. I've always loved it. I grab the weightless bundle of cloth, the only part of my life worth living anymore. The one relief I can give myself when it all gets to be too much. There's an issue at the end that they have, the issue that comes prior to this, 226, which Miller had a part in. It was a little Denny O'Neil, a little Miller for the transition. And it establishes the mindset that Matt has. He's not in a healthy place. He's not. So this just amps it up. So here he is. When it all gets to be too much, he's like, yeah, look at this, guys. Look at this beauty of this page. The movement, the elegance, the rock-solid draftsmanship, the anatomy. Just iconic. It's stunning. You could call him arguably the greatest Daredevil artist ever. I mean, you could argue that. But this run, I think he did become that. It's the one that I have in so many different forms. I have a hardcover small version. I have the huge artist edition. I have the digital version. I have what else came? I have a new version that just came out, which I actually looked over recently with you guys here. The introduction was brand new this year, a few months ago, last month. And then this is what he says. She greets me with a blast of wind and her endless angry roar about the night. She hums with power and tickles my legs with 1,000 flirting fingers. Think about this also. I think Miller discussed this in an interview about Murdoch and Daredevil, and he was always hooking up with a lot of women, beautiful women, always. And, I think Miller thought this through to the point where imagine a guy like him, super feel, super smell, super sense, everything, right? Besides, sight. Imagine what he feels in the act of sex. I mean, the sensitivity that he has, it's probably overwhelming. It's amazing if you think about it. They don't go there, but it was Miller talking about it in an interview where he thought these things through. It's amazing. And he goes, laughs at me, blows a gust of filthy smoke in my face, tricks me with slippery stone, rattles her windows with delight as I move across her, feeling her warmth. And then this is Foggy and Gloriana, who just broke up with Matt. And she's staying with Foggy because her apartment was broken into, robbed. And they're talking at a fireplace and they touch hands. And he's like, well, you look at the time, better get to bed. And she's looking at him with bedroom eyes. He's like, I'll take the couch. She doesn't look like she's saying that. She looks like she's saying something else, but we'll see. So here is Matt going to Nick Manalis, the cop who basically said that Matt Murdock lied. He perjured himself. He was lying with a witness, tried to get some information to her, and he goes, 20 years, Nick. Why start lying now? And he says something here about the music. He goes, the music in there is the kind you hear in department stores. There's something obscene about playing it loud. And loud it is. I'm surprised the building doesn't shake. Well, he can overhear it, How he can follow the sitcom. Damn it, guys. My goddamn S's. I stutter. I mean, if you notice, and S's of late have been a real problem, man. Sometimes F's. But I just say, all right, fuck it. I'm going to keep going. It doesn't matter. He's watching, he goes, the stupid sitcom he's watching is beyond me. Of course, I've got this problem with visual entertainment. Anyway, so he goes on there. He goes, get out of my home. He goes, it's all wrong, Nick. I know you. I have to know why you're trying to ruin Matt Murdock. He goes, he flinches at the name. I smell his oily, guilty sweat. And he takes that bottle, smashes it, and tries to beat up Daredevil. And Daredevil says, I could force the truth from him, tough as he is. I'd have to use torture. He goes, he deserves it. He deserved it. He goes, I say, get out of my home. And again, even the storytelling here, action scene, knock out the background, just show the full figures. Awesome. That, and then here, establish it once again where we are and make it authentic. Authentic. It's awesome. The shadow there, beautiful. The undershadow, love it. And then he makes a phone call. He goes, he showed up. Yeah, Daredevil. I did what you said to. About my boy. Doctor said he needs that treatment soon. So he sold out Matt Murdock to save his boy. And then Murdoch is like, he goes on about his boy and how he'll say whatever they want him to say at the hearing. A symphonic version of the theme to Kojak is getting into full swing, so I missed the voice on the other end of the line. It's hard to stomach the muzak or Nick's whining. So he's like, man. He goes home. He has no gas. He has no phone. He has no electric. He has nothing. He goes, it's been a day. And then, check this out, this little dialogue. This is Foggy's mind now. Well, it's Miller getting into Foggy's mind. He goes, the first thing Foggy Nelson feels this morning is an irritating knot at the base of his skull. He forgets it as soon as he smells the frying bacon and eggs and pancakes. He's wide-eyed. Foggy thinks he's died and got to heaven. Must have. That's an angel. She glances at him. He feels her smile before he sees it. She doesn't say a word. And then ring the phone. Again, all this stuff is just legit. And again, the Twin Towers, the iconic Twin Towers. You know, the rat fucks destroyed our landscape. They destroyed the shape of New York City for years. Anyway, so Nelson residence. Hello, Matt. No, you didn't misdial. I'll put him on. Matt, hi. Listen, the crazy thing happened last night. He feels a little guilty. What? Hard to hear you, Matt. We're a phone booth at this hour? What? Did you say grand jury? No, I hadn't heard. Oh, golly. Oh, golly. He's a worrywart. Okay, cool, Trevor. Catching up at 1.5, halfway there. So I guess the stutter I made was real short. FJEC says, fire everyone and bring in all new people and say everything since one more day was a fever dream. Pocket dimension, Franklin Richards was imagining or something hilarious. That was so stupid. So stupid with Joke Esada. Joke Esada. Terrible. Terrible. And then also, you know, no one can smoke anymore now because his dad died. Someone said, that's probably a story he told. I don't know. Is that true? I don't know. It's just stupid. It's like, give me a break. Have these hard guys smoking it if they want. I smoked for years. I enjoyed it. I stopped because I want to be healthy. But, you know, I'm drawing a story right now where almost everyone smokes. And visually, I love it. I love it visually. I mean, look at this. You know, look what Matt Kelly does with that smoke. Look at this. Beautiful. Visually, it's just it's awesome. Magic Me, this is awesome. Born again at last. Thanks, Magic Me. Appreciate it. SXS says work tomorrow. Night Bosch and chat. Night SXS. Yep. Comic books and cahoots. Check out the World Trade Center in the skyline. He drew at least twice so far on the cover and on that page, and probably more again. Again, all artists were doing that. Marvel. It was always. That's the ultimate icon, of New York City after the Empire State Building, you know. And the fuckers saw that too. And they needed to destroy it. They're envious little scum on top of that. Besides of being savages, they're envious scum who can never build, only destroy. Anyway, let me go here, guys. The next few weeks go poorly for Matthew Murdock. He writhes like a fly in a spider's web. My web, thanks to Kingpin. So carefully woven, so neatly placed. And then he starts talking about how he sees Murdoch's deterioration. He starts to deteriorate right before his eyes. He's getting spies out there, and he also is getting information that Daredevil is being a little more brutal than usual. And he's liking it. He's like, yeah. And Matt Murdock goes into one of the Josie's, right, bar. Matt Murdock. Who's going to talk about Matt Murdock? He loses it. And Daredevil, and he goes, Daredevil. So I'm not reading it all. Just, it's great stuff. I recommend reading it, guys. Every single word, but I'm going to skip through a few. He goes, Daredevil was Matthew Murdock and more. There was a rift inside him, a wedge, steadily weakening his reason, steadily driving him insane. The hearing is made noteworthy by the performance of Franklin Nelson, whose eye for legal detail and imaginative use of precedent caused me to make a note to have him hired. He goes, through it all, I am told Murdoch is a ghost, a shell of a man. And even as he hears the much-tempered verdict of the court that he will not face a prison sentence as I had planned, he's like, shit. That all he will lose is his license to practice law. He had such a great record that I guess that even that Kingpin couldn't pull that off. Even though he probably owned some of the prosecutors and maybe judge, maybe not. In the end, probably the judge was a little more, he had some grace because of Murdoch's history. Whatever reactions he has are hidden, even, I suspect, from himself. So he goes on here. He's like, He faces poverty and public shame. He will be hounded by doctor tax files, deprived of his very home. Survival will become his only concern. Perhaps I will hire him, what is left of him. After a time, after he has learned how powerless he is, his talents will be valuable. Remember, guys, it was issue 181. If you didn't read it, you should read it. If you didn't, maybe check out Bullseye. Puts two and two together and believes that Matt Murdock is Daredevil, and he tries to sell it to the Kingpin. Kingpin is like, "Are you well? Are you sick? That's preposterous." He goes, no, it's true. He goes, yeah, whatever. Get me his body, and then we could talk. And now, a few years later, it happens. So Kingpin's like, his talents will be valuable, and his honor will crush itself. Listen to that. His honor will crush itself. His talent, yes. Any man so dedicated as to pretend to blindness. That's pretty awesome that he doesn't get the full picture, No matter what he knows, he doesn't get the full picture that he is technically blind and he has a radar sense and powers. His talent, yes. Any man so dedicated as to pretend to blindness in daily life has surely developed a range of methods and techniques that will be an asset to my enterprises. An efficacious opponent. Still he intrigues me. Still I am not satisfied. I should not tamper with this. He's arguing with himself. He's like, he can't resist the bloodlust. He's like, so far I've done this really exquisitely. I've destroyed the only noble man I've known. Because I shall not tamper with this. I am well positioned. I should leave him to the misery that awaits him. I must deny myself the exquisite pleasure of a killing stroke. And then Foggy and Matt depart, hug each other. They've been friends for a long time. And then Karen is about to be killed because the kill order came. Anyone who touched that envelope is to be killed. And who does she think of when she's on the run now? Who does she think of? Even as she runs, she hates herself for the name that comes to her. The man who always helped. Matt. Terrible. Terrible. So then, we got a few pages left, guys. I'll go back and forth with you guys while you're here, if you're here. And then we'll leave it to next time. I'm surprised it went actually this fast. We've been here for, almost an hour. Okay. So Matt is walking home, and he's thinking, he's like, I'm not defeated. Not yet. Maybe it's everybody, because maybe I've been thinking about it all wrong, looking for a single enemy to pin it on. Because, he doesn't know who's done this. He knows it's someone. And check out what happens. He goes, maybe it's everybody, from Internal Revenue to Con Ed to Mob Bell to Glory. I call Foggy at 7 in the morning and Glory answers. Foggy. He's in on it too. No. Foggy stood up for me. Fought for me. But that could be part of the plan. What am I thinking? Just tired. Need to sleep in my own bed. Tomorrow I'll do something. Legs are shaky. Must be nervous. No. It's a pavement. That rumble. Boom! His home. Blown up. And then this is a killer writing here. Some of the best of the book, this page. He goes, I hear a baby crying. No, not a baby. Sirens, fire trucks. Guess I've been standing here for a while. Firemen take forever to show up. Traffic gets in their way. Because the dust is thick, could choke on it. There's nothing left. So So that's why. I never would have connected it to you. Nothing about it said gangster until this. It was a nice piece of work, Kingpin. You shouldn't have signed it. I mean, holy shit. beautifully written, beautifully told, beautifully drawn, and he's able to salvage what's left of his Daredevil suit there. And whether that's the dust, the smoke, or just his emotions just flowing out, I could say it's both. But he has the plausible deniability saying, well, it's just a smoke, right? Anyway, so next time I'm going to go over Purgatory, part 2 of arguably, I think, the best, most impactful superhero story, I think. Miller's best writing, hands down, even though I still hold Dark Knight Returns as his best overall comic book, which had also impact. It reverberated later on. I mean, to the point where everyone was trying to be gritty and all that, and some couldn't quite pull it off. Miller did it well, but Miller, for all the shit he gets about being gritty and all that, he's smart. He thought these things through really well, and he didn't hit you over the head to try to prove he was smart. That's what dumb people do. They try to prove they're smart. Miller is smart, and he doesn't have to put the flourish on. Say, look, guys, look how smart I am. No, it's all within the telling of the story with simple language. It's awesome. So yeah, we will do next time the part 2. In the meantime, I'm going to read a few comments, and then I want to pitch Pigman, and then I guess we can call it a night. Happy's Funhouse. Hey, Happy. Wow, I love the panel of Matt's apartment burning in the reflection of his glasses. Yeah, it's beautiful. So well done. And guys, I don't know it to be true, but I'm thinking this looks to me from here. This is all Mazzucchelli. From here, it looks to me like it could be Al Milgrom. The explosion in particular, and the inks around the explosion, and these lines here, the cross hatching, that's not a real Mazzucchelli thing. Those lines as well, and this even. It could be Al Milgrom. He was a good inker, Milgrom. That's the only thing he really did really well. I'm thinking it probably is the case. That's the only time I saw the artist said, yeah, I think someone else inked that. Doesn't look like a pure Mazzucchelli there. It's still damn good, but it doesn't look like. And yeah, it's beautiful. He does it a number of times here, guys. He uses the Matt's glasses for reflections. It's awesome. It's so damn good. So yeah, guys, I'll read a few more. JEC says, what do you think of Electra Lives Again? I think it's a beautiful book. Story-wise, not the kind of impact that you would want for a story like that, but it's beautifully drawn, beautifully designed. It's more of like a fever dream. It's like very strange. She does come back. He thinks she is back. She's dead again, and so on. And Bullseye's in there, and he gets killed and brought back by the hand, and so on. It's he's imagining things. It looks like, at least at times, and it's when he started to get pretty ugly with the drawing of heroes' faces and stuff, and even Elektra sometimes. She looked pretty gruesome at times. Matt did also, but the overall construction of the story, the visuals, beautiful, beautiful. The staircase, the way it came down, a lot of the stuff was in there was beautiful stuff, guys. I have it right there. I'll maybe look it over one day. I wonder, I think it is a digital. I think it is. It must be one of the collections. So yeah, maybe I could do that. And you know what? I actually like this. I like showing this with you guys here, because you guys can see it a lot more clearly this way. Instead of me with the light, and also sound-wise, I want it to be clear. I thought about showing the book, the big book that I have, and I say, you know what? I think this is a good way. Let me know, guys. Let me know what you think about seeing it this way, because you can see 2 pages at a time, see it the way it's intended. And also, one thing, I think books like this should get the full treatment, meaning not modern color in the worst sense, but like the entire Walt Simonson Thor run was remastered, recolored, and it worked, and it looks better. They can do that here. They can do that here. I'd love to see it. It deserves it. They can do it for the Ditko's run for Spider-Man, every single issue. Absolutely. They tried that with Amazing Fantasy, and it was too much. How do you call it? there's a word that you guys use. I never quite texture, structure, shadow. Everything looks three-dimensional in a bad way. I don't want that. I just want a little better, more thoughtful color. Like, let's say a Dave Stewart to come in and redo this color. I'm all in. I am all in. Dave Stewart to come in and do this and do the Lee Ditko, the Spider-Man run, do the Burn, Chris Claremont, Terry Austin run. You know, if Walt Thomas is going to get it, come on, guys, get Miller's Daredevil with again a guy like Dave Stewart. It's beautiful. Comic books in Cahoots issue 228 is one of the greatest comics ever. It is. It's so damn good. I mean, again, every issue is great. That's one thing here. There's not a weak issue. And then issue 230, I believe 230. I already reviewed that on my channel, the physical copy, but I'm going to do it here. The art takes a turn, incredible turn. What Mazzucchelli was able to pull off, it's stunning. It's just stunning stuff, man. He was starting to get a little more, how would you call it, cartoony, abstract, and it worked because he was a real representational artist for many years. For his first 2-3 years on Daredevil, representational, very sound structurally. I mean, draftsmanship, great. And then he started pushing a little. Even this Matt's face here is a little different than what he had done prior, even issues ago. He drew that one, I think it was 219 with the Vulture. It's great. And it's a good story told by Denny O'Neil also, who you guys know. I don't care about him too much. I really don't. I can't stand a lot of the stuff he wrote, but he wrote. But Venom, with the first introduction of the drug that ends up empowering Bane, and also a few issues. The Heather Glenn story was really good also. Yeah. Comic Books and Who says Murdoch fighting the Kingpin with a Billy Club is awesome. It is a Billy stick. JEC, yeah, I like when people fill the screen with digital pages. Cool. Yeah, JEC remaster. My point is not the art. I'd leave it as is, 100%. Unless Matt Mazzucchelli thinks he can improve it, which I'm good as is. I'm talking about the color. I'm talking about give it a little more richness that it deserves, a little more thought, a little more care, and also like again, a guy like Dave Stewart. He's not a guy who shoves it in your face and look how colorful I am. No, it's very subtle. It's beautiful. Just enough of the texture for the skin, for the hair, the shadows he adds. It could really do some work here. Even this, a few botchy colors here and there. Everything's the same. Why not? Why not give it some more care? Why not differentiate objects here and there? Why not? And again, it's just the main reason why I say it is I read the Thor, I guess remastered. I guess I don't know if Walt Simonson came in and did anything different. It looked the same to me, but the color is 10 times better than it was. It was a lot of care given, and it wasn't a bad modern color where they're trying to give texture everything, form. No, it's just good. A little more shading with a skin color, 2-3 tone on the face sometimes, not just one. Like Matt here, it just has one, one tone, boom. Maybe since the shadow's there, make it a little darker there. Make his lips a little pink, and so on. Make the coat a little darker on the bottom parts, and so on. Happy's Funhouse says, I definitely prefer this review format over your previous one, but the sounds of the page turning was ASMR in a good way. I know. There's aspects of it that I like also. I love the whole classic thing, but to me, it's about the book and the story more than anything else, and I don't want to get in the way of it. And if you guys can hear me clearly, that's it. To me, you can see it clearly and you can hear me clearly, I'm good. I'm good. JEC says, yeah, Dave Stewart has elegant colors. He's one of the best. In terms of mainstream, I think he's the best in terms of mainstream. I know there are other ones, but Dave Stewart did some phenomenal work. Phenomenal. He did The Human Target. Javier Polito did something, and just beautiful colors, beautiful. All right, guys, that was fun. That was very, very, very fun. I'm gonna show you fun my comic. They put it back on top, which is really cool. I'm at 222. I got 4 backers or 5 backers in the last day, which is awesome. I think that's the case. It was at uh, I got 5 the old day on Kings. I think 4 and then 1, and then I think I got another one today, and another one as well. That's awesome. I really, really appreciate it, guys. And one during the show last night. So if you guys can, if you haven't gotten it, I know people are talking about things are tough right now. I get it. I get it. But if you want something different, if you want to read something that you haven't read before, in the way that I do it, Islam, jihad, the culture war, the Islamization of America taking place and the world, the Islamization of our leaders who sold us out because they don't want to call an evil religion evil, and so on. They don't want to unleash our soldiers on them, and so on. And that's where Pigman's born. Pigman was born, after more or less after I heard Bush say Islam is peace. And, okay, all right. Happy's Funhouse says, are the issues of Daredevil after Born Again worth a read? No, but I love Daredevil, so I read them, And The Senti came on pretty much after. There were a few fill-in issues. It was supposed to be, guys, I remember at the time, it was supposed to be Frank Miller and Walt Simonson doing a 2-parter for a particular story. At that time at least, I don't know what it dealt with an issue. Could have been a controversial issue, human trafficking, something along those lines, if I remember correctly. I don't remember for sure, but something along those lines that Walt Simonson was going to draw a 2-parter. Frank Miller was in a continuous run, and it never happened, and I was hurt. I was hurt. And then I also was hurt when they left. I'm a kid, and I'm like, why? It didn't make sense. This is so good. Why did they leave? Why they leave? But yeah, it was something Walt Simonson was going to draw a 2-part story that Frank Miller was going to write. The word was there. I heard about it. I read about it. Waited for it. Nothing happened. So Ann DeSanti came in there, and again, interesting stuff at times. Awkward, a little weird stuff. And then when John Romita Jr. came, it gave her stories a little more sense. It gave it a little more structure because he's a rock solid artist in terms of anatomy, storytelling, making everything look good. Even though people to this day trash him, I don't get it. Yeah, now I think he does mess around in terms of faces in particular. His faces are a little off. I wish he stuck to his father's idea where making the men as handsome as can be, making the women as beautiful as can be, and making the villains, in their own way attractive. Even he made the Kingpin look almost attractive. John Romita Sr. He's the only guy who's able to do that, pull it off. Pretty wild. But Happy's Funhouse says, do you have an idea of where to go with Pigman after issue 6? I think that's it, Happy's Funhouse. I think that'll be it. It's a very, he's an anti-jihad superhero. Believe it or not, though, there's a part of me like, okay, how about the communists, takes him on ideologically in his books. He flouts their, societal norms, or you can't write against Islam. He says, fuck it, I'm going to write against Islam, jihad, and Sharia law and everything. He has a book, Frank Warner, aka Pigman, has a book called The Post-Islamic World. And he's invited to talk about it. And Super Jihad, in his secret identity as Dr. Muhammad, who's a advisor to Obama, at that point at least, comes on there and they go at it. So it's ideological battle as well. You got the brothers going off, and you got the best friends who might as well be brothers, Frank and Muhammad. But what was I gonna say? So I don't know. Happy's Funhouse. As far as I know, that's the story. That's the story. Happy's Funhouse says, "Do you use the Marvel method for writing Pigman, or do you use your own process?" I write the story, and then I draw it. That's it. I mean, you know, I know that I do refine though as I go. Meaning, I'll write the story. I got more or less a dialogue, but by the time I lay down the dialogue and captions, whatever, it, it gets refined. It gets better, better and better. It always gets better. Every stage always gets better, and that's why I had to argue with some people who hired me to do a book a number of years ago that fell through for reasons that I can't talk about. But one day I might be able to talk about some kind of. People keep pushing me to do a memoir. I'm like, I'm not interested in that, but we'll see. Some interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. They said, no, 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 no. Your script, it's copyrighted. That's it. You can't change it. I said, I can't change it. I said, I'm going through the whole process here. It'll be better. No, no, no. And fortunately, the current people I'm doing some work for, I told them, I said, listen, it will only get improved. Each stage improves it. When I write, whatever I write, when I start drawing, I also make it better. I tell it better visually. I'm like, oh, I can combine those two things. I can get rid of that. I can add this. I can, so on. It's a very organic thing at that point. And then the dialogue and words always, always, always get better. Always get better. So one thing I decided with them was when they were trying to say the same thing, it's copyright. I said, how about this? I said, how about if whatever I change, in the end, I'll give you a transcription of it all. And that'll be the final copyright thing. They said, okay. I said, okay. It'll be extra work for me. It's worth it. Because what you want is to do the work the best you possibly can before you let go of it. You can't let go of work. I know artists do it. It's painful. You can't let it go without knowing that this is my best. And I know it takes a little longer, but it's worth it. It shouldn't take too long, but it should take some time. And when you let it go, you're like, you know what? I'm good. I ran it through my head over and over again. I did it over and over again. I think it's the best I can do at this time. If I want to change some stuff later on, okay, cool. And that's why I want to look at the Pigman 1, 2, and 3, which 1, 2 will be now issue 1 of Pigman. The Infidel featuring Pigman will now be issue 1, and I'm going to look at it. I'm going to punch it up. I'm going to make it better, more impactful. That's all. Happy's Funhouse says, yes, that's why I was asking about Pigman number 7. It would be so great to have him face other dangerous ideologies plaguing the world. I know. It's whenever I tell myself that's a story, I always think, goddamn commies and what they're doing to the world. God damn it. Does he take a different form? Is a question also. That's a question. Is it the same character, different form? I don't know. Because this is so identifiable. Pigman is the Islamic enemy's greatest nightmare. The biggest, most informed. He speaks their language, literally, languages, literally. He speaks to them in their language as he roasts them and kills them. He's ex-Muslim. He knows this intimately. He needed to know it in order to defeat it. Does it take a different form? Interesting for me. It'll be the story of Frank Warner later on in a different form. I don't know. We'll see. I love the characters. It's an amazing connection you have with these characters. You create them, and then they, in some way, take a life of their own. Where you're like, wow, huh? And you get surprised sometimes by that. Even that, when I say, well, that's that issue 6, that's it. And then, of course, like, yeah, but people always ask me, how about Will from Table of One? Are we going to catch up with him? Maybe we will. Maybe we will. Maybe he's a successful writer at this point, or maybe he's a successful writer who was canceled, and deal with that then in the outer world, not just in the world of the restaurant. Maybe he has to go back into the restaurant. I mean, maybe he's so out of it he has to go back to the restaurant, which after 20 years, like, God damn it, that'd be terrible for him. But we'll see. Happy's Funhouse said, did you pitch Pigman to any publishers before going to crowdfunding? How did you get your pitch in front of publishers? I did. Got into a lot of them. All the major ones through Dennis Kitchen, the great Dennis Kitchen. I love Dennis, great guy. Um, he told me in the end, he said, Bosch, you got a lot of cowards in this business. And if a guy like him, with his stature, with his pedigree, he had me and Will Eisner as clients. He was agent for me and Will Eisner for a few things that I was involved with. Table for One, for Random House, for another project that I was doing, the one that I just mentioned before, for some film interests and so on. I asked him about the Frank Miller Presents also. I asked him if I should consider it. He goes, Bosch, don't. He goes, they retain all the rights. You don't get nothing. I'm like, fuck that, yeah. So it was Dennis Kitchen, the great Dennis Kitchen, a good guy. And he went to all the major ones that he thought would, should, could. Not one bit. They were somewhere intrigued by it, as were some. Before Dennis, I sent a pitch out there to about 150 agents. I got back 6 or 7 people who were fascinated by it, personally interested in it, wants to see it out there, and ran. But I think they felt enough guilt to say, fuck, at least I got to get back to him. Because they knew it's something that should be done. How the hell can that happen? Almost 3,000 Americans wiped out and no one do anything about it? Creatively, entertainment-wise? Unacceptable. So yeah, I found out the hard way that, full of cowards, flat out. So yeah, guys, I'm going to make a pitch here, and then I'm going to get going. Thanks for being here, guys. I really appreciate it. It was fun. I love this story. I love it, if you can't tell. And here's my campaign for Pigman. Pigman #1, a relaunch by issue 3, all new material, guys, at that point. I put them in a real bind. I put Killian and Frank in a real bind. You'll see. So Pigman #1, the Islamic background of twins comes to the forefront of their lives on 9/11, which is echoed by the comic book within Pigman vs. Super Jihad. And about me here, Bosch Fawston, Eisner Award nominee, debuted my first book, Table for One, in 2004. I created Pigman not long after 9/11, and he appears in my comics and books. I've drawn 7 books. I've written articles and have drawn cartoons for Breitbart, PJ Media, Jihad Watch, Front Page Magazine, The Limbo Lighter. Here's my, I'm on Rumble, YouTube, X. You can contact me there. I have 222 backers, guys. $14,646. I mean, look, man, I want more, but I'm very pleased, guys. Thank you for being there, especially in this climate, what we're dealing with, and considering the nature of what I'm doing here. It's a tough sell to some extent, I think, even though I would eat it up. Some people just don't. First of all, a lot of people don't know it exists. It just doesn't, and people aren't willing to maybe take a chance on something new as well. There's also that aspect. Some people don't know about my record of delivering and having my stuff out there and being good. They don't know yet. You'll find out, but that's why I think issue 2 will be an easier sell, meaning these backers will get it. I think they'll appreciate it. I think you guys will. I think you might get more than you're anticipating. I do. At least I've been told that from readers. And so whatever I thought going in is a lot more than I thought. Because some people, I think, assume, no matter what I say about the stories with the twins, they assume it's just a slam bang, killing jihadists. It's far more than that. It's dealing with, again, the cultural jihad, the political jihad, everything, the stealth jihad, and our fight against that culturally, and the battles we have to fight. I'm going to read about my campaign also. About this campaign. When 9/11 hit, my Muslim background came to the forefront of my life, and I knew I would respond to the atrocity with my art. So I thought about my Muslim background, what we were taught to hate, and I came up with the idea of Pigman, as he's the last thing in the world that the Islamic enemy would want to face. An ex-Muslim who's big, ruthless, and who wears pigskin leather to exploit their bigotry. I always get a smile from that, always. And then there's a story within a story of twin brothers, one a recovered Muslim, one a born-again Muslim. The recovered Muslim, Killian Duke, is the cartoonist behind the Pigman comic book, and the born-again Muslim, Salam Duka, becomes his archenemy, echoing Pigman's archenemy, Super Jihad. If this sounds and looks interesting to you, I can move on to Pigman #2 and further. And now some details about Pigman #1. This is a relaunch of my longtime series, The Infidel featuring Pigman, which is now simply titled Pigman. Issue 1 will include both issue 1 and 2 of my old series, but it will be remastered, where I'll be going through the comics page by page and improve them in drawing and dialogue, and I will also be adding more moments, scenes, and pages to the issue, as well as new covers. This is an opportunity for me to introduce Pigman to a new audience in Comicsgate, and I'm very much looking forward to continuing my series with your help. If this campaign goes well, I can move on to issue 2, and then by issue 3, it will be all new material, and hope to finish up the series with issue 6, and then wrap it all up in a pigskin leather-bound hardcover. And below are 9 pages from the comic book, which may or may not be changed from here to print, but I'll see. I think these pages are a good way for you to get a good idea about my comic book without giving too much away. Okay, you guys can see it clearly. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope to gain your support. Boss Wallace, an update, new cover. Here's the new cover, cover 5. Here's the pages that I just mentioned, and you get to see Killian's bookshelf. Radiohead, John Romita Jr., Ditko, Kirby, Alex Toth, Mazzucchelli, Objectivism, Fountainhead, Atlas Shrugged, Nothing Less Than Victory, a book about, against jihad, Story by Robert McKee, The Art of Plotting by Linda Cowgill. I wonder whose bookshelf that is. The Art of Fiction, Ayn Rand, a transcription of her lessons on writing. Noel Sickles, Toth, Kirby, Ditko there again. I, the Jury, Mickey Spillane. Violence, a book by, I forgot his name, Gilligan. Really good, because not only did I get, of course, books on Islamic Jihad, but I got books like The True Believer from Eric Hoffer. I got books like, what's his name, Gilligan, on violence, on human violence in general. It's not just, I get to the mind of violent people, and it was really worth reading. The Man Who Warned America, about FBI agent John O'Neill. Here you got, images that you see in the cover, propaganda, the war paint, Ayn Rand, Pigman grabbing the beard of a jihadist who happens to be Muhammad. It's a stealth Muhammad cartoon. It's not obvious. So here's, the pages is a first appearance of Pigman. Here is the first you ever see of him. All shadow except for his symbol and a little shadow of the American flag. Here you see the full symbol with the American flag, the eyes, and here you see the nostrils of the snout, his teeth, a clearer vision, and then you see a close-up here. And not until here do you get to see the full glory of Pigman. Looking back at Osama bin Laden, after he gets shot in the back, he's like, ugh, it hurts. He's bulletproof, but it hurts like hell. And he turns around, ew. And here he is in action. And then for the rewards, guys, you get 5 different covers for now, 5 different covers. And here's a little breakdown of written, penciled, inked, lettered, colored, and published by Boss Walson. 60-plus pages of a story that takes on the Islamic enemy and his leftist allies. This is a different kind of war comic: culture war, political war, philosophical war, media war, brothers at war, and war on the battlefield. Recovered Muslims versus born-again Muslims. Same thing with twin brothers and Muhammad and Frank. Here's War Paint. This ended up being pretty popular. Well, pretty popular. It's the most popular cover here. That's the one that really jumped out at people. This one less so, but it's fine. I wanted all different covers. Notice this: a full, almost a full shot of a super action scene, of a full look of him, profile, 4 characters, and then this one also, and then this, a profile of him there. And then you got the Pigman hard index card drawings, where I draw a Pigman on an index card, which is really hard, and the black stays really black. It doesn't get absorbed like your average index card. You get the 5 covers in one, and those who already ordered all the covers before me adding the 5th one, you'll still get the 5th one for no extra charge, guys. You'll still get that. And digital copies, T-shirt with the Pigman symbol. September 11th. That's the gist of it. There's a lot more, but that's the gist. Like a ribbon in some ways, a commemoration that he has it. And he also has the, if you guys notice, he also has the Pentagon on his shoulder. 184 Americans were murdered there, and we tend to overlook that, meaning it's a government building. Yeah, government sucks and all that. They were patriots trying to protect us, at least a lot of them. Not all of them. Some are just no damn good bureaucrats, but I wanted to acknowledge that with a scar on it also. Um, and then, and also Flight 93, it's also acknowledged here. If you notice, there's 9, and that's the 2 dents there make that a 3. Flight 93, and also the first attack on the Twin Towers, 1993. And again, a Superman S, the traditional S, and a $sign because he's a capitalist pig. And then here, a trading card, submission, impossible. Table for one. I was asked to add this to my campaign. I'm very happy I did. It looks like I'm gonna get to the point where I can make a nice new print of it. I also have some sketch covers, Pigman, Killian, whoever else you want. I got the original art pages of Pigman, and then I have Pigman a commission where it's original drawn to me, pencil and ink by me, with an idea by you. Thanks for your indulgence, guys. I do appreciate that. I gotta sell this every time I come on here. I love doing it. I used to love going to conventions and selling. I used to love that, talking to readers, persuading people who were on the fence, and giving them the best pitch I could. Table for one, my pitch was Dirty Harry as a waiter. People instantaneously said, "Okay, I get it. That sounds fun, you know." And they looked at it and said, "Oh, all right." That's how I usually sold it. This was a little tougher sell. You know, again, it's people who don't want to deal with the truth that we're dealing with. One of the world's great religions happens to be motivating one of our most evil enemies. And they're true believers. They're not deviant Muslims. They're devout Muslims. That's the problem. Mr. Gaming, awesome for you. Face red heart shape. It's funny, guys. Whether all your, I guess, icons here, I don't know if you typed that out, guys, but I can't see it. I don't know why, but thank you. This is good. Keep this up, man. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Don't know how to read this. It looks like in the Asian. Did you write and draw it? I think it's cool when someone makes a comic and puts themselves in it, at least to look at the character. Oh yeah, I wrote, pencil, ink, letter, colored, published it, and we'll publish it and we'll ship it out as well. I have one employee in mind when I come to that. I'm gonna need it. But yeah, and again, the main reason why I use myself as a model for the main characters, they're more stylized versions of me, but it's to hit home the point that this is an ideology. It's not a race. We always hear about how criticism of Islam is racism. It's bullshit. It's a lie. It's just to tell us to shut up about it. Anyone can be Muslim. Anyone can leave Islam. Anyone can become Muslim. Anyone can convert. If you leave Islam, if you can convert to it, it's not a race. Here's a little detail here also. When he comes face to face with Osama bin Laden, finally at the end of issue 1, the old one, but it'll be halfway during this issue. He's like, I'll shoot. I swear, don't touch me. And if you look close, you see the flies flying around him because he's shit. He's a piece of shit. So there's that aspect also. Robert the Bruce. Hail Bosch. Hail chat. Hail Robert. Thank you for being here, guys. Always appreciate it. Thank you very much. And guys, if you could back it, I would really appreciate it, guys. The one short pitch I can say is this. I just got a backer, man. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Truly. Always appreciate it. Always appreciate it. I love the organic quality of I'm making my pitch, and I get a backer. I love that. Every single backer counts. That's not just rhetoric. It's a fact. It keeps adding. I don't think I've gone one day since my campaign began without one backer. You know, I've gotten 5, 10, 20, 30, like 100 at a certain point. But every single day I keep adding, and I love that. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. That's so cool. So cool. Guys, you take care. Be well. Enjoy your Wednesday night. And I will see you guys again next time. And it'll be Daredevil 228 of the Born Again saga. We will go through, and I think an issue at a time is good because we can stay focused and keep the energy up. And I want to go back with you guys back and forth as well. Mr. Gaming, awesome for awesome said, I'm back. Hello. Appreciate it, man. All right, guys. Take care. Be well. Until next time. Thank you.